Now, at this point, almost every company is already using AI. See, 88% of companies, according to McKinsey, already have AI implemented in one business function. But what's interesting is less than 40% of companies actually report any EBIT impact attributed to the AI. And for most of these companies, it's essentially less than 5%. So the real question is, why is AI essentially everywhere, but it's not really making any impact in the business? So in this video, let's break it down, but let's first look into the AI deployment landscape in companies today. So AI usage is broadening across all types of organizations. And as you can see, most companies are testing solutions, they're running pilots, and a third of them are scaling or fully scaled. And there's really very few that are doing nothing with AI right now. Like what you're seeing here is that most companies are working with AI and they may have rolled things out, but it's not really a productized use case, or it hasn't been scaled effectively for their company. But what's interesting is as the companies increase, so you can see the largest companies, for instance, are scaling way more than experimenting at this point, where the smaller companies are experimenting more than scaling. And so the largest companies you're seeing here have had more time and more money to actually invest in these AI solutions going forward. And the companies that are reporting EBIT impact from AI are actually these companies that are scaling, and these typically are the larger companies. There's also a few other reasons that I'll throw from my personal experience as well. Now, first is these companies that have already scaled, they've already gone through that experimentation, so they're already very clear on what objectives and ROI they should be looking at. And now they have that clear criteria for production and to actually get their ROI. And the second thing is, think about what scaling actually means, right? After you've already gone through the pain of experimentation, you've gone through a pilot, you've already proven out the use case at this point. And so now it's been proven, now you just expand it across the company. Either the same use case expanded, or even maybe the same deployment or the same architecture that could be re-leveraged for new and different use cases. And so in practice, doing experimentation as a 0 to 1 is harder on ROI than going from 1 to 100 for your scale. Now, another reason for discrepancies is that AI impact isn't actually uniform across use cases. And so certain functions like software engineering, manufacturing, you're seeing higher value coming out of that. And so for those specific use cases, most companies are actually seeing cost benefits there. And there's revenue gains that are reported in use cases like marketing and sales, strategy and corporate, and product and service development. And so what you're seeing here is deploying AI in different parts of the business may be higher impact and may have a better ROI. Now, there's another factor that I don't really believe is talked about too much, and that's a measurement error in a lot of these AI calculations. See, there's many high impact use cases like an AI copilot, for instance, or a generative AI search application, but it's difficult to quantify the value even though you know that it's there. And from my experience, a lot of these use cases are typically horizontal use cases where they cut across different teams. Now, as an example, for a large company, I rolled out a generative AI search application recently, and the use case was effectively helping end users get data faster on the company. And so some data they'll look for might take hours to get, where other data might only take a couple of minutes to get. And so in the generative AI system, it was dependent on the types of questions that they asked, but it still doesn't mean that there's no value there. And so this makes quantifying the value of a specific application very, very difficult. Now, in our case, we conducted a UAT. We had a list of questions that the end users actually asked during UAT, and then we estimated the value from there. But in general, if the value is almost more horizontal, it's diffuse across different teams, it's going to be more difficult to identify what the value actually is for the application. To be clear, just because it's difficult to quantify, it doesn't mean that you're not getting any value from it, it's just not going to show up in EBIT calculations. And AI does provide a lot of soft benefits as well, and McKinsey highlighted some of these here. See, across the board, companies report faster innovation, higher employee satisfaction, customer satisfaction, and more. But at the end of the day here, when we launch an AI use case, we need to ensure that we're getting an ROI from it, and it's not just a bunch of soft kind of value. But there is a large difference between AI is not valuable versus the AI is not being captured appropriately. And I will say the ones that are going to get the most EBIT impact are going to be the ones that are going to be redesigning full workflows. And those are typically the ones that are actually providing the most value anyways. And then from there, scaling that use case, and then obviously ensuring that you have clear measurement of the outcomes the entire time. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.